So I wanted to discuss my database intervention plan. Before I get into the details of it, I wanted to discuss how the IRI was conducted. So I conducted an IRI on a student we'll call Ben, and I noticed some strengths and I noticed some weaknesses, and some things that he had to work on. And some of the strengths that he exhibited were the ability to generalize an idea of what he was reading. This was a literal understanding of what he read, both aloud and what was read to him. When it came to silently reading, it was presented a little bit more of a problem for him, but overall he was able to gather a literal understanding of what he read. And some of the things that he read, such as CVC words, he substituted. So that I thought was important to address inside the intervention plan. And so the intervention plan objectives were as follows. I wanted Ben to be able to recognize and decode CVC words within a text. And the reason why this was important was because I noticed that during the IRI, he was able to decode well, but in some words, CVC words too in particular, he would sound out the initial sounds and then substitute the rest of the word. I wanted Ben to be able to recognize past tense verbs, which was actually the CVC word that he had an error on as well. I wanted him to be able to answer literal questions, which was a skill that he already had exhibited, but I still wanted to strengthen. I wanted him to be able to answer inferential questions, which is a skill that he would have to learn and continue to develop in grades to come. And a more advanced skill that I wanted to address with him was determining the central idea of a print-based text, which is again something that he would have to practice in grades to come. I also wanted to align these intervention plans with the Common Core standards, which includes phonics and reading for literature. A lot of people don't notice that phonics is an included standard within the Common Core standards, and they are very important, especially in early childhood education, as well as the reading for literature standards, of course, which are in this intervention plan 2.1, 2.2, and 2.7. I want to also address my teaching methods in this intervention plan, and the way that I modeled or the way that I structured this intervention plan was around a rotation model. And the reason why I chose this was because there is a reason that it works. Rotation models work because they keep the students engaged in their learning. And usually they're about 15 to 20 minute increments, but the range of what the student is learning and being engaged in is helpful both to the teacher and the student. The teacher is able to teach smaller group settings, and the student is able to really focus and be engaged and responsible in their own learning. So that's really important. When it comes to database instruction, it's really important because through the use of checklists, teachers can gather information and see what the student is learning and what the student isn't learning. And with these checklists, we can address this information and be readily available to teach students what they need to know and what they need to work on. This communication with parents and with students is important because they can really own their learning. Some of the things that I would use in the intervention are in my word workstations would be things like CVC Play-Doh mats where they have to form the letters and sound out the words using picture cues, sight word puzzles, which are an engaging activity where they would have to read the word, then complete the puzzle. guided reading and technology would also be incorporated. An iReady program, which is based on their levels. Assessments are also important, formal, summative, and schedule. The schedule would be for them to really understand their pace of learning. Thank you.